TV shows like The West Wing make life in the White House seem glamorous and exciting. But the truth about what it's like to live in the president's official residence and workplace is less dramatic than it is, well, just plain strange. Living in the White House comes with a lot of luxuries, but at the same time, the leader of the United States and the First Family have to sacrifice several things as well. Today, we're going to take a look at some weird things you probably didn't know about life in the White House. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel and let us know in the comments below what other famous landmarks you would like to hear about. Okay, everyone, if you can follow me, and please don't touch that. If you're all ready, we'll begin our tour right now. When you're President of the United States, you can't be expected to eat honey out of a jar, for some reason. So if anyone in the First Family wants some honey, the White House comes equipped with a fully functional honey factory right on the premises. Yes, around 35,000 bees live on the White House lawn and are taken care of by the official White House beekeeper, which is a real job that a real person has. Built in 2009, the beehive is located near the First Lady's vegetable garden. So if you ever hear anything about the First Lady being stung by 35,000 bees, now you know why. We elect our presidents, but we don't elect their pets. Nonetheless, those pets are allowed to live in the White House and do the things that pets do. When it comes to the stains they leave behind on carpets, you would think that it would be taken care of quickly and professionally. However, that doesn't always seem to have been the case. According to one biographer of the Obama family, when the Obamas moved into the White House, there were still stains on the carpet left behind by the Bush family cats. No word on whether the cats were making some kind of political statement or whether they were just being, cats. Moreover, it's unclear how many other administrations didn't take a strong stand on, shall we say, waste disposal issues. The President of the United States is one of the busiest people on Earth. At least that's the theory. Whatever the case, the President definitely doesn't have time to be waiting to see a dentist. As such, the whole First Family never has to go far to get a filling. In fact, both the White House and the presidential retreat at Camp David have fully equipped dental offices. While the definitive history of presidential dental care has yet to be written, President George W. Bush's personal dentist did once reveal that Bush didn't require a lot of care and never talked politics. Dentists never have exciting gossip. Let's say you're graduating from high school and you want to have your prom somewhere nicer than the school gym. Well, if you can just convince one of your parents to win the presidency, you can have it at the White House. At least, first daughter Susan Ford did in 1975. News sources reported that the 17-year-old partied with her classmates and her 21-year-old date in the East Room until 1 a.m. For the record, the prom was not on the taxpayer's dime. The class actually paid for the event themselves with funds raised at bake sales and school fairs. Most people assume that the White House is really, really nice. And why wouldn't they? The most powerful person in the free world lives there, and it's not like that person's going to live and work someplace infested with roaches and mice, right? That's crazy. Well, actually, while conducting a review of maintenance requests submitted by the White House staff in 2017, NBC News discovered a plea to eradicate mice and roaches that had been getting into the Situation Room and Navy's mess hall. Yes, that's right, the White House kind of has a vermin problem. All of a sudden, 35,000 bees doesn't sound so bad. Like many people from warm weather states, President Obama generally didn't love the cold. On the contrary, born in the tropical climates of Hawaii, President Obama preferred a warm room. This preference eventually became fodder for criticism. He was accused of being a hypocrite for holding himself up as an environmentally friendly president, but then setting the Oval Office thermostat on high. It's not exactly Watergate, but added to other weighty criticisms such as he preferred Dijon mustard to regular plain old yellow. Incidentally, if you're wondering how high did Obama really set the thermostat, his chief of staff once told the New York Times, "You could grow orchids in there." Imagine it's a beautiful, breezy day, and it's stuffy inside, but you can't do anything about it because national security protocols forbid you from opening a window in your own home. Well, if you live in the White House, this is your reality. While it makes sense from the perspective of the Secret Service, who has to keep the president alive, you have to admit on a day-to-day basis, it just seems like it would be a bummer. First Lady Michelle Obama certainly thought it was. On an episode of Ellen, she said that simply cracking a window was the thing she looked forward to the most after leaving the White House. The most? While much of the furniture and art in the White House is, by most people's standards, old, nothing except a single painting of George Washington dates back to the original house. The reason for that is, in 1814, British forces, apparently still ticked about the whole Revolutionary War thing, burned the White House to the ground. And it's only to the quick thinking of James Madison's wife Dolly that we still have that painting of Washington. Before being evacuated from the White House to escape the looming British troops, Dolly Madison grabbed some personal items to save. She suspected the Brits would torch the place, so she also grabbed the portrait that hung over the fireplace. Today, a portrait of Dolly looks upon the portrait of Washington, a tribute to what the heroic First Lady did for him and for America. The First Family can special order just about any food or drink they want at the White House, but the only wine served there is American wine. The presidential residence can serve wine from anywhere in the U.S., but it usually comes from California, Idaho, or Virginia. So what if you want something French? Well, unless you bring your own or have a time machine, you're out of luck. French wine was taken off the menu during the Ford administration. Many probably assume that living in the White House means having staff members that attend to your every need. While that is true of the president, it's not always the case for the president's children. Presidential kids don't often find themselves exempt from typical kid chores. Take, for example, the Obama kids. While living in the White House, they were in charge of making their beds and cleaning up after themselves. According to one interview, Michelle Obama was so opposed to having staff members do the kids' chores for them, it was one of the first things she told the staff upon arriving at the White House. Let's say you're moving into the White House, but you don't have much of your own furniture. This was, in fact, the case for Barack Obama. Well, according to Slate, the White House contains a warehouse of old furniture, along with several pieces of art collected by past presidents. These pieces, which are national treasures, including paintings by Georgia O'Keeffe and Norman Rockwell, are available to any current president to decorate with. The collection also includes all manner of gifts from foreign dignitaries, as well as antique rugs and a 4-poster bed. Have you ever gotten a gift from someone that was really a gift to themselves? Yeah. The Obama children received a Nintendo Wii as a Christmas present from their parents, but their father might have just been using them as a convenient excuse to buy the game system for himself, because it was also reported that the then Commander-in-Chief loved to play Wii Sports. Word is that Obama was far better at video game bowling than its real-life equivalent. No word on whether Obama has enjoyed games on any newer consoles, but it is fun to think about him playing Animal Crossing. Most of the White House is essentially a museum where nothing can be touched or moved without a lot of forethought. But when it comes to decorating and renovating the First Family's living quarters, things are a bit more relaxed. A president's young children, for example, are allowed to paint their rooms any way they wish, or even put up posters of their favorite bands. We assume these kids still need their parents to sign off on the decorating, but from an official standpoint, it's not like putting new carpet into the Oval Office. Golf is a big deal for many politicians and other global power players. To that end, the president's home office is equipped with a putting green, so it's never too far to go if you want to work on your short game. The putting green was first installed by President Eisenhower in 1954, and President Clinton later moved it to its current location, just a short walk to the southeast of the Oval Office. Since then, Presidents Bush, Obama, and Trump have all enjoyed it to some extent or another. Finally, no list of weird things about the White House would be complete without mentioning that at least one resident believed the place might be haunted. Presidential daughter Jenna Bush told Texas Monthly that millions of ghosts inhabit the mansion, and she claimed to have once heard opera noises coming from the fireplace. Her twin sister Barbara Bush also allegedly heard spooky 1950s piano music in one of the bedrooms late at night. While it is possible that one of these twins just liked playing pranks on the other, we also can't entirely rule out the possibility that the residence and workplace of the President of the United States is a haunted house. So what do you think? What would be the biggest perk of living in the White House? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from our weird history.